Hello.
Hello. Hello. You're very welcome to this week's video. This is video number 3 on the Edible Estates project for 2021. The project brought to you by Monaghan Integrated Development, MID, and delivered by us here at Síolta, Chroí in Carrickmacross. So we're really happy to be back. This week we're going to just run through the plants again. We're going to look at what's happening in the beds, any problems, any issues that might be coming up. Also, we'll do a little bit of harvesting for some of the plants that are coming through already. And then we're going to move on. We're going to look at the bigger, wider theme of biodiversity, both in your gardens and also in your wider community. And finally, we'll wrap it up with a recipe for some of the plants we're going to harvest this morning. And we hope you get a lot out of it, and we hope you enjoy the fruits of your labour as well.
So here in bed 1, the beans at the back and the peas are doing pretty well. The slugs aren't seeming to bother with those two, but the coriander there at the front, you see it's starting to lose leaves at the bottom, so obviously something's eating it. The nasturtiums then as well, up behind the onions, are starting to come out, and the onions are actually doing really well as well, the 3 of them there in the row. The celery, one is doing well, one is not doing so well, and there it has a little thistle at the front as well, so that can be pulled. Our beetroots are really coming on. The leaves are really starting to come out, and they are going to convert lots of that sunlight, pull it down into the roots and convert it into beet.
Our carrot seedlings, which we showed last time, we had planted a row of carrots down along here direct from seed, and we only have one left.
So to keep them alive, we'll do our slug prevention measures, keeping the bed tidy and putting down some eggshells. We also have these little mushrooms that we found along the edge of the bed, and we think you might have them as well. They're probably in the compost. They like rich manure, rich compost, and it all came from the same batch. So the soil we have here is the same soil that you guys have in your beds. So keep an eye out for these. They're called blister cups or bladder cup mushrooms, and they can grow very big. So remove any small ones that you see, like this one.
As you can see here, we planted our rocket at the front of bed 2, and so we've 4 plants, and as you can see, they have done a bit of growing over the last couple of days, and they've started to flower. So when you see your plants do this, it's often referred to as bolting. You might read that, bolting or going to seed. So essentially what the plant is doing is it's living out its life cycle, and it's coming into flower, and after flowering it'll produce its seed to go forward, so it could continue to grow. But for us who are more interested in eating it, it also has an impact on the taste of the plant. So once the plant starts to focus all its energy on the flower, it starts to take energy away from the leaves. So at this point in the season, the best thing we can do is harvest the plant. This is your rocket, so it's actually tasting really, really good at the moment if you haven't tried it already. It's nice and peppery. You could just harvest it and put it into a salad, or we could also make a variety of other things. We'll show a recipe at the end of the video today on things you could do with your rocket. So what I suggest then for today is that we're going to leave one of the plants so that we can do seed saving later on in the season and then replant some rocket. But for now we have to just say thank you to the plant and take all of the leaves that we're going to eat, and we'll just remove them then so that you have a bit more space in your bed. Okay, so just starting from the bottom, taking all of your leaves. If there's a little bit of bites or damage to them, I mean, if you're going to eat them yourself, it's not really a big issue. You know that it still tastes just as good, but we have quite a few unblemished leaves here as well. So you might get a good bit out of the plants, or you may not get so much at all. But just remember, when it does start to flower or go to seed, it's time then to remove the plants, or to remove the leaves and eat them, you know. So the plant is just going to focus on growing the flower from now on. It smells so good. We'll take the leaves off the plant that we're leaving to seed as well. Take the nicest leaves off that, and maybe allow some of the smaller ones to remain so the plant can photosynthesize still. You take out the nice ones that you're going to eat and leave the rest. Okay, when you've taken all your leaves, we just pull out the rest of the plant by its roots and we just pop it into the compost. The slugs have obviously really been enjoying this. The stem is still intact, but it's cleared this leaf right off. We might as well just take that off now as well. And I think we can still save this plant. So what we're going to do is we'll just tidy it up, maybe because it's putting energy into these leaves that are already damaged. So I'll remove the damaged leaves down at the stem. And then we're just going to hope now. We'll give it another 2 weeks. When we come back in the next video, we'll see if it's come back, and if it hasn't, then we might just call it and remove it from the bed. But essentially the slugs have been getting in, and they've been coming in and they've been eating off the top. You can see over here the top of the Calendula plant that we put in as well. It's also eating up the top of that. You take eggshells and crumble them up around the plant. Essentially the slugs don't like the feel of it on their undersides as they're scurrying along. So embracing biodiversity in your garden and around your plants, just allowing nature to grow, can bring you all of these amazing plants you wouldn't have thought had so much benefit, such as red clover and goosegrass or cleavers, which are those lovely little sticky backs that kids used to put on their backs. And even nettles. All of these plants have great medicinal properties, but they also encourage wildlife in our gardens, bees and birds and all sorts of other different creatures. So whether we want to keep our gardens wild all summer is obviously our choice, but we could also leave a small little patch in the back of the garden, or consider putting a bird bath or a bird box into your back garden. So this is a lovely rocket pesto recipe that we're going to show you. The list of ingredients will be at the end for all of the quantities. We're also going to use some nettles that we just picked out in the garden, just so you can see how to use them as well. And if you're using nettles, obviously they have a bit of a sting, so very carefully putting them into some boiling salted water. This is called blanching. Just push them down with a fork, make sure they're all submerged in the water. And this is amazing. This will take the sting out completely out of your nettles. They just need to be submerged for a few minutes or a few seconds until they wilt. Then you strain them, and look, it's incredible. You touch them and they will not sting you. You can give them a squeeze there. It does require a bit of a leap of faith, but it does work. Okay, so it's ready to use. What we'll do with the nettle is we'll take the leaves off the stem. We don't want the big woody stems in there, we just want the leaves. So the amount of nettles that we used obviously reduced down quite a bit, but we'll pop it in there into a blender. I'm also putting some cleavers in as well, just so you can use anything that's edible from your garden in here. The strong flavours coming from the rocket, which I'm breaking up into the blender now. Just break it up a little bit so it's easier for it to all whiz up together. And you can use all rocket for this recipe if you prefer, but the nettles and the cleavers are also really nutritious, so it's great to add them in. I'm adding in the pine nuts now and the other ingredients like the pepper and the salt. There is the option to use Parmesan with it, but if you're vegan you could simply just leave it out, and I'm not going to put Parmesan in this video. I'm adding some garlic now. I'll crush it before I put it in. We like a lot of garlic in our house, so we'll probably put in a couple of cloves, but you might want to stick with even half a clove or 1 clove if you've never made pesto before, and find your own comfort level. This is really nice. Put it all in, throw a glug of olive oil over the top, and then whiz it up in a high-powered blender, and you'll have a beautiful fresh pesto.